What's up, Facebook? Ty Crandall here with Credit Suite, and today we're diving into the 5 biggest mistakes that people make when building business credit. I'm going to decode these, walk you through what not to do, and then how to overcome those mistakes so you can actually be successful. So Warren Buffett said it best, that it's a good idea to learn from your mistakes, but it's even better to learn from other people's mistakes. So that's what we're going to do today. Is I'm going to teach you where most people fail building business credit, where I get so many inquiries and people say, hey, I tried to do this, it didn't work, and I have to give them, or end up giving them advice on what kind of went wrong so they can actually do the right thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in today to the 5 biggest mistakes. I'm going to talk about the things that cause issues from the minute you set up your business and establish your business initially that can cause things to go wrong where you're not able to build business credit. Now remember, when we talk about business credit, we're really talking about corporate credit here, which means credit that doesn't require a personal guarantee. It doesn't require a personal credit check. It reports to the business credit reporting agencies. It has limits that are much higher than what you're going to find with regular credit that reports on your consumer credit reports. There's a ton of benefits for building business credit, many of which we're probably not going to be going over in this live stream because I'm not trying to sell you on business credit. I just want to teach you how to do it in a way where you don't fail, in a way where you are actually successful. So that's what we're going to do. Is today we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes that people make when building business credit so you can overcome these mistakes, be successful, and maybe not even make the mistakes to begin with. Or if you're stuck now, it probably makes sense that this is one of the reasons that you may be stuck. So remember, we talk about business credit, a ton of benefits, right? One of the benefits of building business credit is that you get approved regardless of personal credit quality. You could build it super fast. I mean, you could start getting really high limit credit card accounts within 60 days or less. You don't need a personal guarantee with business credit. You can get it even as a startup. It doubles your borrowing ability because it gives you consumer and corporate credit. It increases the value of your business as well and gives you a huge competitive advantage. And accounts that we're talking about here don't report to the consumer credit reporting agencies. They report to the business credit reporting agencies, which means there's no inquiries on your consumer credit reports. And these limits are much higher than you're going to find on revolving credit. So the credit I'm talking about that I'm going to help you avoid these mistakes, these are real approvals from people that follow us on Facebook and Periscope that we verify. They're $5,000, $14,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 that you're able to get fairly quickly once you start building business credit. You don't need cash flow. You don't need collateral for approval. Personal credit doesn't matter. And these limits are very high, as I mentioned. So a ton of benefits for building business credit, but how do you do it? How do you do it the right way? Again, today I'm not going to be mapping out the exact steps to build business credit, but I will tell you exactly what to avoid. So let's talk about these 5 big mistakes that most people make when trying to build business credit, which can cause you to fail. So the very first one starts with setting up your business initially, okay? Number 5, setting up the wrong entity. So it's important to know that you can build business credit with absolutely any entity, but only LLCs and corporation, you are separate from the business. So if you were to choose a sole proprietorship or partnership, you and the business are one and the same. You are the same as the business. But if you choose an LLC or corporation, you and the business are separate and the liability can be separated too. So that's an important thing. Look, you don't want to be personally liable for what happens in your business. That doesn't make any sense. This is why business credit exists to begin with. This is why businesses have an EIN number that has a credit profile that can be built under that EIN. It's designed because you're not supposed to be personally funding your business. That's not something you want to do. You want to separate the liability. What that means is it simply means if you were to ever get sued for any reason, if you're separate from the business, somebody can sue your business but not you as individually. So let's say, for example, example, you have a Chase credit card, all heck breaks loose, you end up defaulting. Well, with real corporate credit, they can sue the business for whatever assets it may have, but they can't come after your personal assets. It keeps your personal assets safe. Now, there's a lot of reasons you may get sued and a lot of reasons it makes sense to separate the liability. But what you need to know is that even though business credit can be built for any entity, if you've chosen a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you and the business are one and the same. So since you're one and the same, you could be sued and probably will be sued the exact same time the business is. So LLC or corporation, you are separate from the business. It helps separate your liability, which is very important when it comes to business credit building. So another big mistake that people make when building business credit is right here, not setting up your business credibly. So what you need to know is that all lenders and credit issuers have a secret set of standards they use to approve you. If you meet them, then it equals automated approval. You automatically get approved. But if you don't meet this criteria, you automatically get denied. Now, you already know this in the consumer world, right? Because you've applied for a credit card and you've got that instant approval where boom, it tells you you're approved, tells you how much you're approved for. You've probably also been on the opposite side where that wheel's turning for the decision and you get that dreaded, you'll hear by mail in 7 to 10 days, which never ends up being good, right? We know that. So it's very important that with corporate credit, we get you automated approvals. What I want is for you to walk in and be able to get a Dell credit card for $20,000 automatically, instantaneously, without no manual review. Well, how do you do this? It's pretty simple. You just have to know what credit issuers are looking for, know what their computers are searching for to make sure you meet those requirements before you apply. Now, when it comes to business credit building, this is actually step one in the process, which is to establish your business credibly. Now, it's also very important for loans as well, because the same standards that credit issuers have, lenders have as well. So what this means is it means if you ever want to get a loan for your business, if you ever want to get a credit card for your business, you need to make sure that you meet this criteria. So let's take a look at what that criteria is. So there's a lot of criteria when it comes to setting up your business credibly. First, make sure that your business name doesn't reflect a high-risk industry. Financial services is high risk. Okay, adult entertainment is high risk. Pawn shops. All those type of industries are high risk. And we've got something on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/credit suite that even talks about which industries are high risk. Try to make sure that your name doesn't reflect you're in a high risk industry, or a lot of problems can occur. We are an absolute perfect example of this. Our name is Credit Suite. Credit is in our name. And if we had to do it all over again, we would put credit in our name. But I will tell you, we fight an uphill battle. We have problems getting merchant accounts, bank accounts, anything to do with financial services. It's tough because it's in our name. They instantly associate us with credit repair when we're trying to get business or when we're trying to get merchant accounts, even though we don't even deal with consumers. So there's a lot of issues, including it becoming harder for us to get corporate credit and loans because that is in our name. So I'm living proof and will tell you that if you can avoid putting something in your name that reflects your high risk, do so. It'll help you with merchant accounts, bank accounts, and most importantly, credit issuers when it comes to getting those automated approvals. So other things to keep in mind is we just talked about getting an LLC or a corporation to separate your liability, making sure, of course, you have your EIN. This is what your business credit is linked under, not your DUNS. It's actually linked to your EIN. Making sure you have a professional domain, a professional website, or professional email address. Set up any licensing that's required. You need to have a physical business address or a virtual address. If you can't afford either, use a home address, but never use a UPS address. Get a business phone number set up. Make sure it's toll-free. Get it listed with 411. We use a service called List Yourself. If you're a new business, this might not automatically happen. And you also want to make sure that you have a fax number set up as well. I can best explain this is that when you fill out an application, every single line item on that application will be scrutinized. So when you're just starting to build corporate credit, you've got to make sure that you set up the business credibly. Why? Because you're not giving them your social. You're not letting them pull your personal credit, which means the lending decision, if you have no business credit already established, is completely based on what's on your application. So your application must reflect you are a credible business. Lenders and credit issuers look at a credible business kind of the way you'd think they would. Do you have a real business address? Do you have a real business phone number? Or are you trying to use a mobile phone or a cell phone? A business with a real business address, even if you kind of cheat the system and use a virtual address, is more credible than using a home address. A business with a real business phone number, even if it's a $15 a month RingCentral number, is more credible than if you're using your home phone or mobile phone, which they automatically know if you are. Okay, a real business has a toll-free number nowadays. It has a website. It doesn't have a Gmail address. It has a professional email address. So if you meet this criteria, then what happens is credit issuers basically kind of go through a series of checks. And if it's check, 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 then you get an automated approval. But if there's something that throws up a red flag, such as something reflecting in your name that you're high risk, using a home phone or mobile phone, using a UPS address, these things automatically trigger a manual review. And then that usually ends up in a decline. So it's easy to be able to beat the system if you know what they're looking for. Now you know the criteria they're looking for. Meet that criteria before you apply. So far, we've talked about setting up as an LLC or corporation, also making sure you set up the business credibly. The third biggest mistake we see when people build business credit is they think they're getting real business credit when they're not. So true business credit, which is really called corporate credit. And a lot of people call business credit, and even I call what we're talking about business credit, but truly corporate credit is what we're talking about, what you want. This is credit that doesn't require a social security number for approval. It's credit you can get approved for without the social even being on the application. It doesn't require a personal credit check. If you don't give them a social, they can't pull your personal credit. Okay, and there's no personal guarantee. And this is credit that only reports on your business reports, not your consumer report. Look, you will be fooled. It's very easy to get fooled. And I'll give you an example. The Capital One Spark card is a scam because they promote it as a business credit card. They ask for your revenues. They ask for your EIN. And they report it on your consumer credit reports. So what kind of business credit, true business credit account would report on your consumer reports, require a personal credit check for approval, give you a personal guarantee? That's not real business credit. Real business credit is properly referred to as corporate credit. And corporate credit, first of all, you can get without a social. You leave your social security number off the application. True corporate credit applications don't even ask for the social. Okay, so if you run into an application, and I'll give you an example. If you go to Office Depot and you apply for a business credit card, there's going to be a little disclaimer that says, hey, look, if you want a corporate account, click here. And there's a fax page that you can fax in. If you miss that and you fill out their application, you'll notice they won't even let you submit the application without a social. But here's what's interesting. If you call Office Depot and Staples are both the same as examples. A lot of them are. But if you printed the application and filled it out, left the social blank, or if you call them and tell them you want corporate credit without the personal guarantee, without the credit check, they will give that to you. Okay? And let me see here if I've got any I can post comments too, but I don't have any comments. I just want to make sure your comments are answered. So this is what true business credit is. One, it doesn't require a social for approval. What happens is Staples, instead of requiring your social, they pull your business credit reports instead. They make the lending decision based on that. And if you already have some credit reporting on your business credit report, they approve you based on your business credit quality, not needing your consumer credit report. Remember, if you don't give them a social, they can't pull your consumer credit report. So the minute you leave the social off the application, you force them to make the lending decision based on your corporate credit quality, and you get real business credit. This is business credit that didn't require a personal credit check for approval. It's not based on your personal credit quality. There's no personal guarantee, and it reports to the business credit reporting agencies in a lot of cases. That helps build your business credit, and it stays off your consumer credit reports so it doesn't adversely affect your consumer scores as you use it. Guys, listen, please hear me out. A third of your consumer credit score is based on utilization. Consumer credit was not designed to fund a business. So if you try to put business expenses on your consumer credit cards or any credit cards that report on your consumer credit reports, you will tank your credit scores. Because as you put higher balances on there in relation to your limits, your utilization climbs above where FICO wants it to be, and your scores absolutely will plummet. I've been in the lending industry and the finance industry most of my professional career since I've got out of the military. And I can tell you that I've seen a lot of people denied for home loans because they put $100, $200, $300 more on a credit card than what FICO wanted them to. Their scores dropped and they got denied. Keep credit that you're using to fund your business off your consumer credit reports. In doing so, there's no personal credit inquiries that affect your score, your utilization stays intact, and you build a corporate credit profile that you can use to make it easier to get loans and high limit credit cards for your business while keeping your consumer credit intact. So make sure you avoid that mistake. Don't come in and think you're getting real business credit. Real business credit doesn't require that social, doesn't require a personal credit check for approval. Which brings me to number four. The second biggest mistake that people make when building business credit. Don't even put the social on the application. Leave it blank and credit issuers will pull your EIN credit for the approval instead. Okay, so look, let's talk about this. First of all, don't ever use a CPN number. Most of them are bogus social security numbers. You're committing 2 felonies if you misrepresent your social security number. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. I can tell you, you can go to the Social Security Administration clear as day and look this up. You can go to YouTube and you can type in CPN, find our video, and in that video, we'll even give you the actual link so you can see where it is illegal to do this. You can never, under any circumstance, put anything on an application in place of your social other than your social security number. If you do this, you're misrepresenting your social. You can't do it. But you can leave your social blank. It is absolutely legal for you to do so. There's no law that requires you have to provide your social when applying for credit or financing. So what happens? If you've gone through the proper steps to build business credit, I'll show you how this plays out. And just so you know, I see people joining and thank you very much for sharing, but I don't see any comments. So if you're commenting for some reason, I can't see it. And if that's the case, as soon as I close out the video, I'll go back and address your comments on the actual playback. So let me show you. First of all, you got to make sure you go through the proper steps. You've got to get vendor credit. Use places like Uline and Quill and Gimpler's to get initial credit. Once you have 5 accounts, then you can start to get Staples and Home Depot and Apple and IKEA. These are the kind of credit you can get. So if we look at real approvals, you start here, smaller limit vendor trade accounts. Grainger 2. Then you move up to Seton and Apple and Chevron and Exxon and start getting store credit cards. Once you have 5 of these little vendor guys. You have 5 little vendor guys, Uline, Quill. Then they report. It gives you a report and a score with the reporting agencies, DMB, Experian, and Equifax. Okay, once that happens, then you have a report and score you can use to start getting revolving store credit. Office Depot, Chevron, Apple, Exxon, Sunoco, Sears, etc. Once you have 10 total reported accounts, 10, then you move into getting this little guy, Beep Beep. Auto vehicle financing without a personal guarantee. Visa cards, Amex, MasterCards, fleet credit cards, which you can use for fuel and auto repairs and maintenance. You can do all these things. So this is how it works. Once you have some of these vendor accounts here, then when you leave your social security number off the application, then what happens is they pull your business credit instead. They see these accounts. They see a report, they see a score, they make their approval decision based on your corporate credit quality, not your consumer credit quality. That's how it works. But that brings me to number 1. The first biggest mistake, the biggest mistake people make when building business credit. This won't work unless you apply for credit in the right order. Everybody wants to skip steps here. Everybody wants to come in and start getting Visa cards right away without doing the other steps. Remember, for this to work, to leave your social security number off an application and get approved, you have to have a basic business credit profile and score established, or it won't work. To do that, you use these guys. Vendor accounts will give you initial business credit. Then you use this to springboard and start getting store credit cards. Once you have 10 total accounts reporting, then you springboard to fleet credit, cash credit, auto vehicle financing. If you screw this up and apply in the wrong order, you will absolutely, without a doubt, get denied. So don't think that just because I told you to leave a social security number off an application, that now you're going crazy and getting loans and store credit, and fleet and cash credit cards without a personal guarantee. It doesn't work that way. Look, if you look at the definition of a personal guarantee is required when your business doesn't have enough established credit to stand on its own. So you can't get past no PG credit unless you have basic business credit established. This is why it's broken down into steps. Okay, the first step of applying for business credit is to get vendor credit. Go to Uline, go to Quill, put stuff in your shopping cart, buy $50 worth of stuff, go to checkout. They give you an Invoice Me option. Choose Invoice Me. They won't even ask for your social. They won't even ask for a credit card. They'll let you process the order. In most cases, if you've went through and set up your business credit blaze we've talked about, then what will happen is you will then get approved. They will ship the items, and congratulations, you just got approved for trade credit. Once you use that credit and pay the bill, and you do this for 5 accounts, that reports to D&B, Equifax, Experian. It gives you a profile. It gives you a score. Then you go into Staples. Then you go into Office Depot. Then you go into Dell and Apple. And they start approving you based on the established profile and score. You can't do this if you don't have the profile and score. Think of it like this. You cannot walk into Staples with no consumer credit, apply for a consumer credit card, and get approved. They will not approve you. But if you go into Staples with 2 accounts on your consumer credit report, apply, they will approve you. Same thing in the business world. You can't walk into Staples, your bank, whoever it may be, and start getting credit when you have none established. You have to use trade vendors to get credit first. Then you move in to start getting store credit. Then you move into fleet credit, cash credit, and auto vehicle financing. Yes, there is a way to shortcut this process, only if you have good consumer credit. The path I just told you about works regardless of consumer credit. You can get Uline and Quill even if you have bad credit. It doesn't matter. But what if you have really good credit? Well, if you have good credit, then you can actually skip the vendor step, and I'll show you how. Because then you can come in and get credit-based financing. You can get up to $150,000 at 0% unsecured credit lines that gets you 0% for 6 to 18 months. You get 5 to 8 credit lines. Okay, they're credit cards with cash out capability. So you could take cash out of these and still pay 0%. It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid because you get the benefit that credit cards provide of 0%. You also get the benefit of cash out to take all the money out that credit lines provide. You combine them and you get a beautiful thing. Cash out at 100% at 0% rates. Pretty sick. But it only works if you have good consumer credit. So with this, these accounts report to the business credit reporting agencies. You get up to $150,000 in real usable credit, even as a startup, with no revenue verification, no collateral verification whatsoever. Okay, so it's awesome to get that much money even as a startup without verifying revenue. But the even better part is these accounts report to the business credit reporting agencies. So since you're getting 5 to 8 accounts, you get the 5 accounts you need to move on to the next step without needing vendors. So you've got 2 options. Use Uline, Quill, Gimplers. Use those kind of vendors if your credit sucks. If your credit's good, then get the unsecured program, because with the unsecured program, you can actually get approved for Visa cards, MasterCards, cash credit. that you can use up to 150 grand, 0%, and take the cash out. Use those 5 accounts to build your business credit, then move to store credit cards, then move to fleet, cash credit, etc. But don't apply in the right order. You're going to get denied. And again, guys, first time using Facebook changed a lot of things. Usually I get a lot of questions I'm able to answer. I'm not seeing any comments, just so you know. Not sure what's causing that. But what I will promise you is that if you have a question or comment, leave it. As soon as this is done and I can go back to the recorded version on our Facebook, I'll make sure that they're all answered. Because I'm positive people have questions and comments that I'm just not seeing here. Okay, so that being said, let's summarize. The 5 biggest mistakes people make when building business credit. 1, make sure you set up your entity as an LLC or corporation. If you don't, you'll always be liable personally for what happens in your business, which you do not want. Protect your family, protect yourself, protect your personal assets, and do this. Or change your entity if you haven't done so already. Make sure you set up the business credibly. Okay, get set up as an LLC or a corp. Keep a high-risk indicator out of your name so it doesn't reflect you're in a high-risk industry. Get a business website and a business email address. Get any necessary licensing you need. Get a real physical address or virtual address, but never use a P.O. box or UPS address. Get a toll-free number that's a business number, not a home phone or mobile phone. Make sure you have a fax number on the application and get your number listed with 411. If it's not, you can use a company like List Yourself to do it. Okay. Mistake number 3, thinking you're getting real business credit when you're not. True business credit requires no Social Security for approval, requires no personal credit check for approval, no personal guarantee for approval, and it only reports on your business credit reports, not your consumer credit reports. If you don't have this, you don't have real corporate credit, period. Don't put your Social Security number on the application. The minute you do this, they're going to do a personal credit check, and they're probably going to report it on your personal credit reports. If you want to avoid it, don't give them your social. But this will only work if you do it in the right order. Vendor credit first, store credit next, fleet, cash credit third. Also, auto vehicle financing comes with this as well. So again, I know I get a lot of engagement here and I've got none, which tells me there's something wrong with the commenting here on this video where I'm not able to see anybody's comments. For all of you that have shared this, liked it, I really, really appreciate it. Lets me know I'm on the right track. So now you know the 5 biggest mistakes people make when building business credit. Most importantly, you know exactly how to avoid them so you can be successful and do it in the right order and the right way. Listen, if you make one of these mistakes, you're just going to get denied. And this is where people think business credit doesn't work because they make one of these mistakes and they're like, I tried it, it didn't work. Well, you tried it, but you did it the wrong way. Okay, and we had a client like that exactly the same way. We got him in. He's a buddy. I thought, man, he's going to do really well. He comes in, he says, this thing doesn't work. Well, what happened? Well, your advisors told me to move to the next step and I got denied. Well, why did they tell him to move to the next step? He told him he had 5 accounts reporting when he didn't. He tried to skip ahead and convince everybody he had something he didn't. And what happened was he got denied. This happens all the time with people that are not using our system. So don't skip ahead. Don't provide that Social Security number to get real business credit, okay? Make sure you're getting credit that doesn't require a social that reports on your business credit reports. So if this makes sense, if you have questions, then let me give you some information to get in touch with us. I just had all my whiteboards done. Here, I found what I'm looking for. Okay, so give us a ring. There's a couple ways you can get in touch with us. You can go to our phone number and give us a call. We can get you approved for this credit-based program. Okay, we can also talk to you about the fastest way to build business credit. 877-600-2487. You can schedule a consultation with us too if you'd like. But I'll be the first to tell you, calling us is the best way to get us because our consultations are sometimes booked 7 or 10 days out. We just had to make some moves to open up more spots because people weren't even able to schedule a consultation for 10 days. So get with us by phone. It's the fastest way. Here's a free guide on building business credit. CreditSuite.com/Facebook. Free guide on building business credit. Maps out the exact steps that I kind of briefly talked about today. CreditSuite.com/Facebook. And also give us a ring. We'll talk to you about the fast way to build business credit. If you have good credit now or a guarantor that does, you can skip that vendor step by calling us and we can talk to you more about this unsecured program. Just so you know, if you do meet this criteria, if you do have better credit, about a 680 score or higher and you qualify, we'll get you to our funding source within 2 hours. You'll be pre-approved. We'll tell you how much you're pre-approved for, and you'll get your funding in about 1.5 2-3 weeks total time. Our source is wicked awesome and super fast. And these are credit lines. These are cash out. You could take all the cash out if you want and do so at 0%. Pretty cool program. So, like this, I wish I could see all your comments. I can't. I'm sorry about that. But I will check the playback and make sure I respond to everybody's comments. And I will see you live next Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern, as I always do here on Facebook. So thank you very much for joining in. Hopefully you learned some things out of this. And again, my apology for ignoring your comments because I can't see them in the stream for some reason. But I will look into that and try to figure it out for next Thursday at 11. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. If you did leave a comment, I will jump to it right now and make sure that I get it responded to. I hope you learned something today. A lot more to come in our live streams. We're going to be talking about establishing a Paydex score and a DUNS number. We're going to be talking about repairing damaged business credit, getting credit lines, a lot more things to talk about in our future live streams. See you next Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Thanks, everybody.